in through YouTube. All right.
Right now on my screen, I've got my own video and I've got you. Can I move that off my main screen?
Yes, you can put that wherever you want. It's not gonna affect anything. But I do want to say thank you or hello. Welcome everybody. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to the market recap. I hope you've had a good week. I hope you're looking forward to a good weekend and a good Thanksgiving next week. Let's go ahead and read a legal disclaimer. Today's demonstration is designed to instruct you on using MetaStock and the accompanying software plugins. It's not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading. MetaStock shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of the software, any trading strategies, or any information provided in connection with the company. So today we've got a guest with us, Oscar Carboni. Oscar is a frequent guest. We'd love to have him do these market recaps. You can find Oscar at livewithoscar.com. And he's been a fan of MetaStock, a partner of MetaStock, a friend of MetaStock for at least 2 decades, I'm going to say. Is that a good number, Oscar?
I think almost 4. Since 83.
Yeah, can you believe we're going to have another year under our belt in just a month? It's crazy. Anyway.
Interesting year.
Anyway. Thanks for doing market recap. Just to kind of give you some ideas, Oscar is a futures pit trader. He does a really good job of identifying kind of highs and lows in markets. He does a good job with his forecasting. He teaches people out of a camp he calls OmniCamp, and he just got done with the class. In any case, I think I should probably stop introducing you. It's been 5 minutes. So, all right, how you doing?
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on. Traders around the world, thank you for tuning in. I have a better disclaimer than the one you gave. This sugar honey iced tea is really risky, kids. Make sure you place stops at all times. You know, the volatility here is insane lately. Markets change on a dime. You can be winning on a big trade where you're long, and minutes later, it goes the other way in the same session. So please know the risks as Jeff has just laid out for you. And, you know, only trade with money to be lost, because that can very easily happen in these rough and tumble markets. So, Jeff, I just wanted to add to your disclaimer to make sure that people are aware that you're not just going to win. There's chances of loss here, and they're kind of great.
You know, I'm going to try and work the word sweet iced tea into our disclaimer.
Sugar honey iced tea, baby.
Okay. Anyway, what's your thoughts on the general markets this week?
So, general markets this week are kind of what's sitting behind us right now. And I think that they're starting to show a bit of weakness following this NASDAQ and all the voodoo that you see before your eyes right now, which I'll explain. And if it continues, I think we will see a bit of a pullback. But I kid you not, in this very session, at the same time, I'll be able to show you other charts that point towards the upside and the Santa Claus rally coming. So we're in a spot right now where the market is trying to make a decision. Oddly enough, my Omni, which is Oscar's market navigational indicator, if you will, gave us a neutral signal for trading on Friday. And lo and behold, the markets were quite neutral most of the day today. It allowed us to buy the Russell today, and we had a good trend in the Russell, but you don't know these days if you can stay long or if you have to jump out quickly. So what I'll show you is that the volatility is extremely in these large bars, and that when you're winning on a trade in today's environment, when you hit a profit objective, take your money and run. That's the advice I could give you for now until volatility calms down. I call it my Jack Dempsey style. Hit, then jump back into the corner and be quiet until tomorrow and come back out and try to hit him again as a day trader. So you're looking at the NASDAQ daily bar. And I've been showing this, you know, awkward, but still present head and shoulders formation since it started. And I mentioned that at some point, if we ever had something called a head test, where the market comes out of the right shoulder and fails to get up, it would be a confirmation that we do have a head and shoulders. It's an Oscarism sort of confirmation, sort of a brand of mine, but that's my confirmation. And once we see confirmation, I can then tell traders that the market will crack, and it sure did. Then we rallied up for a little bit, and we had a second failure of the head and dropped into what's called a bear flag in technical terms right here. Now, a bear flag is supposed to produce a downward move when the market finally comes out of this channel. It's supposed to drop lower. So looking at that right there, and these are simple technical signals, you'd have to think the market is going to try to work its way lower. At the same time, and by the way, this is not updated for today. This is updated through Thursday evening at 5 p.m. Eastern. In about 24 minutes, I'll be able to update these charts, and we'll see which way the market actually went today. But this should indicate that the market will go lower because we call that a bear flag. And once you drop out of the bear flag, you can then make projections for how far it will go. So yes, this is risky, but there are great ways to figure out what is going to happen next. And again, using our techniques, we were able to identify the low and the high of a great trade in the Russell today. Take our profits, get out of the way. The market came back down, but we were safe. So how I find a fantastic way to do that is to listen to the street. And the street, obviously, is all in this chart right here, because everything, if you're looking at this chart right now, everything that comes from the government, every report, every third quarter report, all the things happening in between the third quarter reports, everything going to be released, and traders' reaction to all of that news is in the chart. It lays out a daily bar. So if you can read these daily bars, you can read everything going on. Then you just need to figure out what the street is fancying at this moment in a particular market. And I'll tell you right now, the street has flipped from the 50-bar moving average lately in most indices out to 100. They seem to like it when it gets there, obviously, as you can see here, and you'll see in other charts, the street reacts. And if you can just spot the simple techniques the street is using, and maybe they're not using this chart, maybe it's called an algorithm, but the algorithm knows the exact price where the 100-bar moving average will meet the market. The algorithm kicks in, our eyes kick in, same sort of thing going on here. You just need to spot what they're looking at. So let's look at another version of this NASDAQ chart. Much cleaner. All the voodoo is missing. No head and shoulders. Oscar, you're crazy with that head and shoulders. Okay, so I've removed it. Let's look at simple resistance and support, basically the building blocks of technical analysis. The market builds its resistance line when it gets here. It starts here, and it builds the line when you have a second high. Then you extend that line forward, and lo and behold, it becomes resistance once again. Now, if we're not going to use any formations at all, then resistance worked once again when you got here and should make the market lower, even if it tries to hit it again. Now, eventually, if you knock on the door enough times, it will open. You keep bouncing off this resistance line, you'll get above. This is what we're looking at now for top day, Friday, for possibly trading Monday. Again, this NASDAQ is not updated with Friday's bar. We'll do that at 5 p.m. shortly. But just to let you see what happens at a resistance line, simple resistance makes a market usually stop going up and come down, as support does the opposite. And lo and behold, look at this crazy average right here. What do you think they're doing? They are using the 50-bar, the 100-bar moving average. It used to be the 50, and bouncing right off of it. You'll see in many other charts that we're going to look at. So the street's using this, and algorithms know how to calculate when the market went up this high, and then it went up that high, went up that high. And you know, algorithms are calculating all of this, but you don't need an algorithm. You just use a good, well-trained pair of eyes, know a few techniques, and you can spot everything on these charts that Wall Street is playing with. So NASDAQ daily bar, a cleaner chart, shows you that until you get above this red line, you will have trouble. Let's go look at another chart. E-mini S&P. Actually, let's look at this one first, and then we'll come back to that one. E-mini S&P's got an Oscar in it, Oscarism in it, known as an F flag. What makes the S&P look better than the NASDAQ is that the S&P is above its previous high, which would be that blue line, and is building something that I like to call an F flag. And usually you stay inside the F flag, and now you're going to find out why I've dubbed it an F flag. When you finally do break out of this F flag, though, most times if you're in the market, you feel like you've been F'd, sorry to say. So we've decided to dub it the F flag, and lots of times when you come out of a bullish-looking F flag, you lower. So there's a few things, although I like the bullish F flag for now. We haven't dropped lower yet, but that is what will happen when you come out of that flag. For now, we can this flag indefinitely. What I like about the E-mini S&P chart is we are above the resistance line, where NASDAQ is not. But in my opinion, NASDAQ's leading this market right now, not the E-mini S&P. When we're day traders, we'll take it one day at a time. But E-mini S&P right now, this is bullish if it stayed inside this flag. That's bullish because from here you should bounce back to the top. And as you see, inside of a flag, there's plenty of room to go from the bottom. Okay, crazy news. We broke out one day, the virus news, the vaccine news, but right back in the flag, to the top, back to the bottom, up to the top, back to the bottom. Now we're at the bottom. You can go right back to the top or finally have your breakdown out of the F flag. So something's going to happen here. You know, with day traders, we'll pick up on it as it shows, but this looks more bullish. Above resistance line, the red line, being above the resistance, and in that F flag certainly looks more bullish than the NASDAQ. So there's actually an argument for both sides here, which doesn't usually happen. So you just seen an argument for NASDAQ, which really looks bearish, but this argument for S&P, and I'm only giving a technical argument, not my opinion, the argument here is much more bullish. And then, of course, when we add today's bar in, it might be lower than this flag. And if that's the case, well, hey, the effing is starting. We'll see all of that by 5 p.m. Let's look at another chart. If you have questions, please list them. I promise I will get to all of them for you. Russell 2000. Now, this was my gem for today. Stay away from NASDAQ. Stay away from ES. Russell, I liked it very much. Look at this great channel it's in. The low of yesterday, Thursday's low, right at the bottom of the channel. I wanted to stay in. This looks like a bull flag. Completely different look from the other two indices. Resistance, the red line was breached, which then turns green into support if you get back to it. So this Russell, I mean, the small caps, I think they look great. There's nothing wrong with that chart at all. Certainly for trading Thursday night to Friday. We have not, once again, I'll keep repeating, we have not added Friday's bars in yet. But if we're still inside that channel when we add Friday's bar in, I think we're still okay in the Russell. So I'm looking at all that happened this week so that we can hopefully be prepared for what may happen next week. So that's the indices shaping up. There's literally a tug of war going on here. NASDAQ says, hey, we've got a problem. Everything else is saying, Santa Claus rally's coming, NASDAQ. What's your problem? There's literally a fight going on between the charts, right? So then we can go to the Dow Jones. Now, this is interesting. There's two things happening here. One looks like an island breakaway. Very, very bullish when something like that happens. When you actually have a gap take place, like this one here, let me just talk in that so you can see what I'm getting at. When you have a gap like this take place, and then you build an island, that's usually a really strong, solid signal. But then you pull this chart in a little bit, and what you realize is this market is just reeling from a double top right now. It's not as pretty as it looks. So we're testing and trying to get above, and I'll make that line thick and red, what is really a double top in the Dow, which is the market. The Dow is the market. So just so that you know where the red line comes from, because I'm going to blow this up again, the red line is the previous highs starting right here. Now we can blow this up a little bit and see what we're looking at. So now you can see this red line right here was previous highs. What you really did was you hit a double top up here, and you are having trouble ever since. We need to get back above that red line, which illustrates the double top. Then we can absolutely give this its name. So it's not an island breakaway yet, unless we can get above that double top. Then it will be an island breakaway. And then we can give it its label. Must get above that red line. Absolutely. Now, if you do not get above the red line, you will fill this gap. That's the way markets work. You will come back down and fill the gap inside of that rectangle. And it'll be a red bar or a series of red bars to go and fill that gap before you can get to go any higher. So this market literally must right now get above this double top and go. And if it doesn't, you're going to fill the gap. We have a tug of war going on here. Now, you'll never find me stand in front of a camera and say it might go up, but it might go down. It is not my style. We will have a trade based on everything that we see Sunday night for Monday. This is overall abstract analysis, what's going on for the week leading into next week. Even though we'll trade the trees day by day, the forest says if you do not get above that red line, you will go back down and fill that gap. So that's your Dow Jones. The transportation average on the other end looks just like the Russell. Fantastic. Looks great compared to the Russell. Then you look at slightly larger analysis and say to yourself, well, is what happened up here, did it actually, do we call that the high and hit the resistance line? Even though it stopped here inside this channel. You see that here, you have the resistance line, which gets created by here. You extend forward. Now we have a line. It stops the market here. Then the market tried to get near it here. It never made it. Never made it here. Each time, though, it breaks down. Never made it here. Broke back down to the low. Almost made it here. Is that it? Do we go back to the low? So right now, we're inside of the channel. And while we're in the channel, you have to like what you see. But you have to realize we might have actually hit the top of this bigger channel, which means top of the channel, eventually bottom of the channel, eventually back near the top, bottom, back near the top, holds the bottom, back near the top. So we're inside of that channel. So it's not ultra, ultra bullish. And when we update it later today, if we fell out of underneath that green line, out of the channel, that will actually become bearish. So tug of war, hopefully some answers will be given to us in 13 minutes when we can update. And then take a look at this guy. Amazon updated as of Thursday evening. No Friday bar in yet. I'll zoom in for a second just so you can see that. But you are below the 50 ball moving average. In this case on Amazon, look at how well it works. So we use the 50. You're in a bear flag, albeit at the bottom of it, so you have room to travel to the top of it. But what I really don't like is that this green support was broken, and now we're staying under it for a lot of bars right here. So I don't know about that Amazon. I mean, we've got a holiday season coming, and it would make perfect sense that Amazon would go crazy with all the deliveries that are going to take place. Lockdowns taking place across the country again. Everybody will shop online. So that I get. Amazon down here, I say if it gets above that 50 ball moving average and above that flag, you look for the upside instead and wait for it to get all the way up here. So of course, right now, the top day analysis is you are below the 50 ball moving average and inside of a bear flag and below a serious support line. So short-term analysis, that's bearish, even if it can rally a little. It's got plenty of room inside this flag to rally. So this flag is as big as 3110 to 3200, right? You got $90 of play inside the flag while it's still in a bear flag. So what we need now is above the 50, out of the flag, and then we can shoot for all the way up here at 34.5. And then we have a play, which in my last webinar, I offered you guys a little gift, and I said, I'm going to give you a Tesla trade. And the market, Tesla should move higher, and I gave you a spot, 4850 to 4900. In my last presentation for MetaStock, you know where we were? Down here. I gave 4850, 4900, get ready for it. We went, that's 4850 right there, 4900. We went even higher. That was a great call, kids. I gave you that in my last presentation about 2 weeks ago on a weekend, the Saturday. So that worked well. The Omni told us we would get to 48.50 based on the analysis that you see put forth and the Omni itself. And boom, we made that target. And again, this was presented to you when there were no green bars here. So my neck was out there in a chopping block. But lo and behold, we had a good call there. So what I'd like to do now is we can talk about any other charts you want. We've got 10 minutes to kill until we can update these charts. So if you've got some questions, I can answer them for the next 10 minutes, and then we'll update the charts and see exactly what happened.
Lewis would like you to look at PDD.
I didn't hear what you asked for.
Oh, Lewis is requesting that you look at PDD.
You're cutting out. You're coming in like you're water. What's
PDD?
the symbol?
PDD. Papa
PDD.
Daddy Daddy.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah.
PDD. Let's clean it up. Let's see if they're looking, what average they're looking at before we do anything else. What's the street using on this thing? Is it the 100 today? They'll use a few. Is it the 50? 50 seems to fit better. All right, so the 50 fits very nicely on that one. So it's an ADR. What is this? Not that I could care because we do analytical calls, but what is this? I don't know the stock.
I'm not familiar with either, but it's called Pendento ADR representation. I'm not familiar. Maybe Lewis can tell us.
Well, whatever it is, it does really well during COVID. My God. What is this? The we sell everything for COVID company? Look at this thing since COVID. All right, so right off the bat, obviously, you know that you have a gap here. But unlike the S&P, stocks don't necessarily have to fill gaps. So but you know that. I always say the S&P always fills its gaps. Stocks don't have to. They can gap and just go. So unlike S&P, where you can almost expect a pullback, don't know what will happen here, but let's label it and look around and see what's going on. So this was PPD. Really. So if we look at this, I say, love the way it gapped up like that and then continued forward. Although it's extremely awkward, this is what your mind is supposed to call some kind of a flag right here. Because no flags are accurate and exact, and they're not going to come out. If you tabulated them, they won't ever tabulate perfectly. It's just what your eyes see. And I would think that we're supposed to look at this as some kind of a bullish flag. So let's see if I can just pull this line in. I think that's some kind of a flag right there. Doesn't that look like one to you guys? Let's darken it in a little bit. Just going for simple techniques. You know, we won't even look at indicators or anything. The simple things that the eye can see, I kid you not, are what markets are reacting to. Even
so
if
Lewis says this is China e-commerce is this stock. Never mind.
That's what this is?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, you see, that's them taking our money. Look at that right there. Boom, boom. You guys better learn how to use chopsticks and make sure you know what's coming in the future. Because they are, I'm thinking, and not for any bad reasons, but probably the people that are alive today will be the last ones to remember that the U.S. used to be called the wealthiest, most advanced nation on the planet. I think we'll see that be surpassed in our time. I mean, it's happening before our eyes, you know. We'll see. But so if this is Chinese and it's going up, it kind of makes sense, right? In fact, so looking at that, I would say that you have an easy shot of doing 160 up here. What's that say? You know what? I can't read that. Let me make that a little bigger. So
it's 160.
Once right here. Yeah, I think
right
you can easily see between 155 and 160 on this guy, if it hops out of that flag. But being that you mentioned the Chinese company, I had one more. I thought I saved something here. Well, there's two. Let's look at two different charts. Now that you mentioned this, and we'll save PPD, by the way. We'll see what happens with that chart. So I found this to be really interesting right now. Zoom has done really, really well lately. But I'll tell you right now, if you want to figure out what to do with Zoom, the smart money, they just 50 ball moving average around Zoom. Look at it. If it gets near it, it's purchased. If it gets under it, it's sold. But the average never goes near Zoom. It means something. Obviously, the street has picked up on that, and that seems to be one of their triggers. So right now you have Zoom under the average. And I'm going to get to a Chinese company right after this because it's my last one I wanted to show you guys. And you do have a resistance line here. So what I'm thinking is that if you can get above the green line, which was support, is not, and that's some weird bear flag looking thing as it is. If you can get up here, look at the test that you're going to run into. It's both of these things coming together at the same spot. So very interesting spot if somehow it can get up there. I thought I would show you that because I noticed it last night. I went, almost looks like a, but once it gets there, you will have trouble. Now, before we ever go that high in Zoom, you must realize that this thing right here is some kind of a weird, we can force it into a pennant flag if we want, or some kind of a bear flag. Whatever it is, it dropped quickly and then sideways consolidated, but below this green support line. It was resistance for quite some time. Then it became support. Now you're under it. So, a little bit of a fight going on there too, but this should settle itself very quickly. You should get a signal out of Zoom very shortly. And then speaking of a Chinese company, NEO, a friend of mine in my trading room during the day at Live with Oscar asked me about NEO. So this is basically the competitor for Tesla in China. But China owns most of the company. You can't have a company in China unless they own it. And it's a fact that Beijing owns most of this company. So look at how well that one's doing. It's just, you see the future. I mean, you can even see it in the charts. And we all need to be ready for what's coming. Not that we'll be sidestepped, but I don't know that we will be the end all be all of the world like we are today in our lifetime. Looking at their charts, that's what tells me theirs are going up and ours are starting to look like they're having trouble. We'll see what all that means in the end. Anyways, there's something else that we can look at.
How about Roku?
Roku. That's ROKU, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
I think it might be .o.
ROKU. Dot .r or .o?
.o. The very bottom one.
.r.
.o.
No.
O.
It's always .o. And when it sounded like R to me, I'm like, R? We never used that. All right. So we've worked on this before, obviously.
It's a MetaStock favorite.
Background. So let's see. Let's just do what we're supposed to do here and put this line where it belongs and see how far. Let's see how it worked. So the line belongs there at the top, and then we extend it. So it did catch some highs up here, and we'll extend these lows, and we'll see what's going on up there. So it's already been there, so we might as well just extend it and see what it did. So we are getting above that channel, which, when I showed you, when I showed a video a week or so ago that Bitcoin was getting above a channel, we started to blast off. Same thing actually in soybeans. So Roku getting above a channel, once you get past what the street would call a double top because it's two highs here, I think when you go to a weekly, though, there's no double top there. You know what I mean? That's not a double top, but on the daily, you would think it is. So I think once you get past that, you'll get some confidence in the street to buy it even more. I like what I see in Roku. Roku, I guess I'd call it. So I like the chart. I think you buy dips in it.
Let's do gold.
Let's do gold. My goodness. What will happen? So I think we actually used this last time we were together a couple of weeks ago when I did the weekend recap and mentioned that we were inside this pennant flag. Now we extended the lines, but I don't even think we seen this breakout. So the pennant flag that we built together in one of our recaps a couple of weeks ago has maintained. It's not quite a flag. It's more like a descending wedge. So I don't know, I'd call that a pennant flag. The pennant flag was named because at one point in its life, it was a pennant flag when it was like this. Then it grew. So we did have a pennant flag here. Just to show you how this, we had a pennant flag, looked pretty good. You broke down under it, and then it sort of morphed into this descending wedge. And that's what we have now. And it's respecting it with the exception of a quick pop outside of it. And when you do technical analysis, if you one jump outside of a formation and it comes back in, you would still consider that formation valid. But you know, if you know what a flag at this point, it's basically a series of quick down days and then a sideways consolidation. You've got one here, right? Very quick, 2 down days. Well, one up day, 1 down day, but 2 bars that created what I would call a pole. And the flag is clear. All you got to do is kind of look at it. So we will change the label on here to this. That's its new label. It's a descending wedge. And I believe this is a flag of some nature right here. So instead of trying to see exactly what type of flag is for now, I think we'll just do something like this. We'll just snap a parallel and just call it this. That'll be our flag for now until it actually develops a little more, but that's close enough for me. A lot of room inside that flag, right? Gold can move 30, 40 bucks inside that flag and still come down, but that's a bear flag in gold in a descending wedge. You know, can't really push for that right now unless I get a crazy buy omni signal. That doesn't mean that you can't rally 20, 30 at the top of the flag here. But that would tell me that if it stayed inside the flag, you come back to the bottom and eventually break it. So for now, 2 things. You got to get above the wedge. And if we want, maybe we could just change the line, just to make a difference here. We need to get above the wedge and outside of that bear flag for this to start to go up. Wedge usually tells you it just works its way from the top to bottom of the wedge, and we hit the top of that wedge already, so, you know, should work its way lower. Then, of course, if you're going to look at gold, you might as well complete you go around the horn here. You got to look at gold. Oh, wrong machine, wrong symbol. I put a real-time symbol in. You have to look at dollar. So if you expect gold to go up, then you'd have to expect dollar to go down, or at least opposite directions overall. It doesn't have to be every day because nothing works like that every day. But there was a reverse correlation between gold and the dollar because basically gold is priced in dollars. So if the correlation is opposite, if you're bullish dollars, you got to be careful being bullish gold at the same time. If you're bearish dollars, you're better off being bullish gold if you're going to look. And dollars, I mean, look at how long now they've been in trouble. If we do a continuous, it goes on forever. Dollars have been in trouble for quite some time. And inside this little channel that's building inside of a bigger channel doesn't look very good here. So unless the dollar sticks its head up, overall, I don't think gold cracks really hard, but those formations that we've seen in gold are bearish for the time being. As dollar is, and dollar and gold can go down together undoubtedly, but you won't get a lot of dollar up without gold getting hit. That usually won't happen. Sorry about that phone. I was supposed to be on Do Not Disturb, kids.
It's okay. No problem.
So, let me just label it.
Okay, go ahead.
If it'll let me. Copper? Oh, that's got to be Sun King. That's got to be Sun King. So,
do you think there's he had another interesting question. Do you think there's inflation coming?
Do I think there's inflation coming? If the dollar keeps going lower, it forces inflation. It would have to force inflation at some point. Well, so do we think inflation's coming? If you do look at things like what was just asked, that's why Gardner was going to keep calling this phone, Copper HGZ0 because he needs to get in. HG, wow, look at the run copper has had. My goodness. So you look at something like copper. This doesn't let me type very quickly, does it? Copper daily. I have to type very slowly. All right. So that has been in a tremendous, tremendous run for quite some time. And if you consolidate it, looks even better. So look at the crazy run copper's been in. If I can illustrate in a quick channel, and we'll just see if there's some kind of a parallel to what's going on here across the top. We'll just leave it there. Look at that from the bottom left of the screen to the top right on a 45-degree angle almost. It's like exactly what you'd want your stock portfolio to do. You know what I mean? Just like that, straight up. I mean, you don't want as much of this in your stock portfolio, but to have something do a 45-degree angle on you in this business, that looks good. Copper is used in everything that you can think of, everything. And then there's this. SF1 soybeans, which is used in everything you can think of. Look what that's doing lately. So, yeah, I think we see it happening before our eyes.
Yeah.
I think that we're already starting to see inflation. So, you know, soybeans is in more things than people think. It's in tires. It's in all kinds of stuff people don't know about. So look at that run. Look at copper starting to go. Industrial things starting to move.
It seems like
really
it seems like just overall.
Cure or what's that?
Never mind. Don't
Sorry,
worry.
when you speak, it breaks up.
Yeah, no worries at all.
So that fantastic look to it, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So now let's go see if we have an update. NASDAQ. Let's start with the first chart. Oh, they've shifted. Now I have to find chart one. Well, we could just do this. It wouldn't matter. Let's see what happens if we can update. So we have an update. I don't know what just happened there. Everything just shifted on us. There we go. We have an update, and it went down, not up for the day in your NASDAQ. So this is Friday, and now it's retreating back away from that resistance as far as that daily bar is concerned. Let's go see what the S&P update did. Where are we? Ooh, it's just starting to challenge that bar now. See that? Oh, we're under it. So S&P outside of that F flag, and you know if it starts to go, I've explained to you why it's the F flag. You'll feel some pain if you're in that trade without a stop once it falls out. So this is kind of what should happen, not one bar, but we should end up a little bit of a drop should come from this. You know, I don't know how far, but we should end up dropping a little bit if we stay out of that flag and we can't get back in on Monday, Sunday night into Monday. That's another update. Let's see what else. Let's go update the Russ. So remember, I was saying if this bar looks like this, it's ugly. This one here, if it looks like this, that's no good. We want it to be inside of that channel. So let's pull out the fictitious bar and see where we end up. Inside the channel still. We'll see what happens. At least Russell's breathing. The other ones aren't looking as good. What else can we update? The transportation average. Let's go see what that update was. You see now that we don't want. We don't want to see it start to head back down because then you have to fill the gap. Above previous highs, that red line represents double top. If you don't get above that, give me a second, guys, you will fill that gap. Are you out front? Are you out front? No, just got to give me a couple moments to locate somebody. All right, bye. I have others on the premises. Just give me 1 second, guys.
You're okay.
Where's my little superstar will help me. Who was sitting here with me today doing analysis at 6:30 in the morning. 15-year-old kid. Imagine that.
All right.
Oh, I'm calling a 15-year-old instead of texting. You know, there's no she's going to answer his phone, right? If I text, he'll be back like that. Why do they even bother? All right. All righty. I don't think there's anyone else on premise. Oh yeah, there is. I can grab another one. Sorry, guys. Be right back to you, but I didn't expect him to show up this early. I told him to come later on.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Jeff.
Yes.
While Oscar's taking a moment to do that, there is a question I translated from Arabic asking if it can draw the trend line automatically.
I do see that question, and it does not. The lines that you're seeing on here are not being drawn automatically. Oscar does put them on the thing, and then he extends them to the right, usually, but he is actually physically drawing the lines. There is a tool in there that's called the automatic, or the DT, which will automatically draw a trend line. These are not those, though, but you can play with that. If you've got MetaStock, there's a
template called 30 seconds, please.
Yeah, there's a template called Dynamic Trend that'll allow you to do that. So there you go. Tell your gardener to hold his horses.
Well, you have other symbol requests, but Oscar's controlling that, so I don't see any other questions on.
Just MetaStock, right?
Yeah, I don't see.
Well, I could tell you, I could try a joke.
Sure. What do you got?
All right. Let me think for a second. I'm not getting too many from my daughter right now. Why is a fish so smart?
I don't know. Why is a fish so smart?
Well, because they travel in schools.
Oh,
sorry about that, guys.
Oh, thank
I
God.
don't want him to get
God,
bitten.
Oscar,
Those were outside, and they're really big.
Oscar, you saved us from another kid joke, so thank you for returning so swiftly.
All right, so he was wondering about a trend line. Let's just pull up anything. We haven't looked at snow. How about that? Is it .0 on this bad boy? What is snow? It's not going to come up unless I get the dot, whatever you guys want me to click.
SNO.K is what you're looking for. It's usually going to be either nothing. Okay.
SNO. Is it SNOW.K?
That's what I was seeing on there. SNOW.K.
SNOW.K. Answer the phones. So when drawing a trend line, and of course we get something that doesn't have a lot of life, but it wouldn't make a difference. I basically go from one low to the next low I can find, and then I extend forward. And this way the line is more exact than me trying to drag it across the whole chart and see if it's right. So that's basically what I'll do with trend lines. And then once you move forward, the trend line is still there. You know, when the chart starts moving and you start populating bars, you'll end up down here. And that should be a valid line, just like it was when it worked here. So I think that's your best bet with trend lines. A lot of people tend to take a trend line and force it. You know, they want it to be where they want it to be. And I don't know that that's the way to draw trend lines. I think you go from highs to highs and extend. It works.
All right.
Anything else I can help you with?
Yeah. Can you look at Visa or MasterCard?
Sure. V?
V, sure.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Final battle. Ooh. So let's see if we can put some stuff on here. Make it look a little nicer. And then we'll remove some stuff so it gets out of our way. All right. Visa. Wow. Tell you what, those double tops are like magic, right? You see that? Right at the double top. Look. Now let's just use this right here. It just stops cold and drops. Looks like it's going to fill the gap now. So Visa doesn't look good to me right here because it's reacting violently from a double top with a gap below. And probably you can fill that gap here. Is there something else you like? Visa. Huh?
Let's go ahead and take. Can you look at TASI? I think it's .TASI. It's the Saudi stock market symbol.
Give me that symbol again.
I think it's .TASI. Let's see what comes up.
Wow. I mean, looking at those bars, they look like a penny stock, but wow. Nice movement lately. Here's an instance that's exactly opposite. This is what you hope to see. You see this double top? But once you reacted, you came back, and now you're above it, and stuff like that is what you want to see. The previous chart, Visa, we were still reeling from the double top. We were in this portion of the rod. Once you get away from that and you can do this, then you can start to like it. So likelihood is, just the way the world works, stops are built up here. Because that was the last time the market ever went up, and anybody who's long there and still stuck in put their stops there. So you can probably take out those stops soon and see what's up there above that. Looking at that chart, that's the first thing I see. Second thing I see, of course, is it's forming some kind of a channel, really far, but it's forming a channel. And certainly going in the right direction for a channel. Whenever you see bottom left to top right, you have a strong market. Look, that's a parallel channel.
Mm-hmm. Looks great.
Look at that. Here, 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 and here, just taking it off the low arc. Not bad. That one bottom angle gave us the whole top of the move. So this is, whose stock market are we looking at? Taiwan?
TASI. It's the Saudi Stock Exchange. Saudi.
You have to type very slowly.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it won't let me. Have you noticed when you try to type on the other?
It's just when I notice every time I share my screen, everything goes slower.
Now, I will ask you again for that symbol because I've never seen it before.
.TASI.
T.
ASI.
I'll remember it now.
It's an index.
Oh, TASI. You know what? It's TASI. I do know it. No,
okay.
All right. We have anything else we're looking at?
Yeah, we got a couple more. UPS.
So this is the one that you hope takes the Santa Claus rally, because I'm thinking there's a lot of shopping online, as I said earlier, and this guy should certainly benefit from shopping online because someone's got to deliver those packages. Let's do this, put some color to it so it looks pretty. So looking at it like this, so there's an obvious formation on this chart. Look at UPS, it jumps right out at you. The obvious formation that jumps right out at you is this one. And this. So you have this happening. All right, it looks like a head and shoulders to me. And then, of course, you could just stretch your imagination and call this a flagpole and that a bear flag, and that would fit really well if I drew it up for you. So that in itself, I don't like. But what I will tell you is usually a small head and shoulders is not a topping pattern. It's a continuation pattern. And that's small compared to the rest of the chart. It's not taking the whole chart top to make. So could very well be a continuation pattern, but you are certainly, if you want to just take away the head and shoulders voodoo, as I call it. Look at this. This is absolutely a bear flag building right here. Make it nice and dark so we can all see it. And I do not prescribe, I don't like using a parallel channel. I like to snap a parallel trend line and see where it fits. And this one fits right here. I could be a lot quicker using a parallel channel, but I don't know that you get the exact same perfect formation from it. So anyway, sorry, that should have been red. So anyway, I think this is a bear flag, which would be in the right of the head and shoulders. So I wouldn't be betting on the upside yet till we can pop out of that right circle over there. All right, so no extension. And please turn red for me. That looks like a bear flag to me. Would you think that was a bear flag, Jeff?
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Looking at that?
Yeah.
So now, once again, the wonderful thing is you could bounce off the bottom of this, rally up, go through the top, and it morphed into something else and was not a bear flag. Certainly can happen. But while you're in it, and if it respects the top and bottom lines, that is a bear flag in UPS.
How about Baba?
We may have looked at that at our last outing. So
yeah,
no,
we've been hanging out a little bit lately, Oscar.
I don't mind even slightly. I like doing this stuff. All right, so BA. That's it. Not a lot of data came in, though. Let's try that again. Ooh, white screen of death.
All right, thanks for coming, everybody.
From the white to the blue screen of death. Well, that was ugly.
Yeah,
Baba just killed us. Those Chinese are all over us. I told you to take it over.
We recommend against Baba. No, it's good.
Wow, that was interesting. We'll try it again, see what happens. If my computer starts printing Bitcoin, I'm telling you.
I think this is a good opportunity while it's rebooting to just kind of talk a little bit about people can join and get involved in the chat room that you do at Live with Oscar.
So yes, actually, you can simply come to livewithoscar.com. Either register if you don't have a membership, and it's absolutely free, no credit cards, no nonsense, and then log yourself in and put your new password, username in there, and that'll literally take you to, let me see, I should have a page up because I'm always there. That should literally take you to livewithoscar.com, and here you can see my trading recommendations, what I would like to do for the day, a little chart to illustrate why or bearish. On this side, you will find the trade recommendations. Slowly, as the market moves, I start sending signals. First flash update, we're getting ready to buy NASDAQ. Second flash update, we're in NASDAQ. We're getting towards targets. Third flash update, well, that's a video I put out. Fourth flash update, we're at target profit. That could have been a losing trade. Turns out to be a winning trade, but that's what you'll find over there. And then you can click something called Omni Chat. In Omni Chat, you literally click up here, scroll down to log into chat, and you'll find yourself here in a live trading room with me. And you got a live camera on and the microphone, but I'm using that right now for this presentation. And I'm in this live room where I can talk to each one of you, microphone, camera, or type. And it's a great place to hang out all day and night. We keep our trading room open. It's my replacement for the pit that I used to trade in for 30 years of my life. They sent us all home with laptops, and I decided to open up a trading pit online, and this is it right here. And you can join me anytime you'd like, and that's at livewithoscar.com or simply futurestraders.com. Either way, you can get there.
All right.
So
I think let's do one more.
Looking at something. What would you like to see?
Let's do FNGD from Daiquiri. I bet that's going to be a dot O. I think it's going to be a dot O.
No, we'll try it without it. FNGD.
.k.
Did
I was
that
wrong.
Ah,
The Bank of Montreal.
FNGD.K.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it. Well, now, do you want me to analyze that? Stay out. Stay away. Whatever that is, run the other way as quick as you can. Oh my! Look, it's like our dollar.
Yeah.
Sorry to say. I'm sorry to say that.
Okay. There you go.
What else you want to look
There you
at?
go. Should we try Baba again?
Yeah, we'll do
BA.
Baba again. I doubt it's going to blow up the machine again. That'd be strange.
Yeah.
No doubt anything, right?
.k.
And it's just not giving us a lot of data. Maybe that. Let's try it with .o.
.k, I think, is what you'll use.
.k. Let's give that a whirl. Yeah, now that's an Alibaba chart.
There we go.
Once again, yeah, I'm still no, I'm good, thank you. Appreciate it. Once again, as I've mentioned, their charts are just starting to do really, really well. Okay, you can see it had a little bit of downturn, but this, if you follow everything that's going on, they were doing the biggest IPO on the planet called ANT, and they got called back due to a lot of serious regulatory issues. And then this crack took place underneath, right here underneath. I just drew that blue line, even though it doesn't make, I just wanted to illustrate. That happened after they found out that they own 30 or 40% of this company that they couldn't take public. Barring that event, look at how well the stock has done overall. And I have a feeling that we will get past that event because it's already turning back up. So why I mentioned that Chinese stocks and Chinese companies are going to outgrow us, we could do a little bit of math. If everybody in this country bought something, we could sell without a profit count, maybe 375 million of that product, right? Well, if everybody in China bought one, we get to sell 1.5 billion of the same product. There's no shot they're not going to pass us up. It has to be what happens. But can we get along with them and sell it to them? That's what we need to be doing. We need to start selling them our stuff more so than ever, because their charts, their companies, everything is starting to look like the U.S. did in the 60s and 70s, 40s and 50s, even, where we just really, really kept going, After our industrial revolution and everybody came off the farms and came into the cities, America became America. Well, this is their turn, and their charts are showing it one after the next after the next.
All right.
But Alibaba, looking at this, now this line doesn't make sense. I was just using an illustration, so let's put it where it actually made sense. That would have been here. That line would have been here, and then it was breached. We'll make that a little darker. And again, of course, when a market moves, the market is always right. The chart is always right. But we do know that this was propelled by them owning a huge piece of a company that they weren't allowed to take public exactly on this day. So I would say you get back above what was fantastic support, this blue line, and this thing will make a new high. So, they're good-looking chart except for this piece. Anything above the blue, I call it a good-looking chart once again.
How about one more? Apple.
Apple. And not a lot of data there either. Which one am I clicking? .o?
.o. Hmm?
Well, there you have it.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. So let's cut that. Let's see if they're going with 100's looking pretty nifty. Oh, yeah. See the difference? The street used to use this for the longest time, but now it's starting to give you less good signals. So, I basically kept researching until I could figure out what I think the street's using, and they have shifted out to the 100. You always hear about the 50, but I'm telling you, they've shifted out to this 100. They're starting to queue off of it. So looking at this, I would draw this up right off the bat, not knowing what it was, what it did, or how they use it. I would kind of draw it up like this, just to start getting a look at it and see what I'm looking at here. So let's say we did that and do something like this. And we see that it's starting to be, it's kind of forcing itself into some weird wedge. Don't really see a formation on this chart that worries me. I haven't drawn them, but I'm looking, I can spot them, you know, with my eyes closed practically. I don't see anything on here that says me. And if you forced me to make a formation out of this, I'd make a bull flag out of this piece right here. If I can pull it in focus for you, I'd make a bull flag out of what I see here. You know what? Let me just grab a parallel of that. You know, something going on right there. And then if you want to stretch your imagination, you call this drop a flagpole. And I think you have a bull flag here. We'll get rid of this line for now, because this line doesn't really make any sense. I just wanted to see what it looked like. So you can probably drop a bull flag right here on Apple. I think it's squeezing because when you draw it this way, which is what's happening right now, it's starting to squeeze into something that it's going to want to break out of very shortly. Sorry, I didn't grab that line where I wanted to. You know, it's starting to squeeze itself into something. We'll pull these lines out of the way. And then if we want to get even smaller on that, we can go like this and see that it's squeezing itself right now into wanting to do something. And I would think the upside. I mean, this chart looks bullish to me, especially that nice bounce off the 200 bar moving average there. Or do we make that the 100? The 100 bar moving average right there on Apple. Yeah, I think I like the look right here. I don't see why Apple can't move higher. And even if it dips a little bit, the other side of it is, you know, all the fund managers know if there's something called the Santa Claus rally going to take place, that's one of the stocks they're going to be in, right? Undoubtedly, they'd be in Apple. Who's not getting a new device for their child this Christmas? So, or whatever holiday. So for Apple, which we will label, forgot to type slowly. I think that we'll see some upside if they even slightly start to push it. I certainly like what I see here, no doubt. So that's a quick look at Apple. Of course, if I wanted to do my on it and figure out exactly what we would do on Monday, that'd be a different story. This is a little bit more abstract. So anything else I can help you with? How about questions on YouTube? Have we answered them?
Yeah, there was a, we're getting a couple symbols for some more Saudi symbols, but I'm not sure I know what the symbols are to actually pull them. So aside from that, we do have a comment that's coming in saying, Scott, it's always, I always like listening to the professional like Oscar.
Well, thank you so much.
And other than that, I
these days on the internet, high compliment for these days on the internet.
Well, it's the only one I can see, but a lot of people have been looking at it. Geez, one last one, I guess, Bitcoin. Let's take a look at Bitcoin real quick.
Bitcoin on this machine, it's probably BTC. Now, if you want to do futures, I'd rather just do the BTC. Just come right up, right?
I think it's BTC equals.
BTC is a .0 or just BTC?
BTC equals.
Equals. I haven't seen. So Bitcoin, the interesting thing about that is I started to tout it again. I mentioned to people when it started to nosedive, once it's worth touting once again, we'll do that. So in my videos lately, I've been showing traders how we've broken out of the doldrums for a long time and finally starting to do some damage on the upside. So now we were in, you know, draw it a bunch of different ways, but we were in a channel sideways to upwards for quite some time. But eventually, it decided to create a new one. And look what it's starting to do now. Now we're starting to get some life out of this thing because there's a whole new channel developing, and I call it here, let that one bar go through, because it's the only bar that goes through. Everything else fits nicely. So now it's starting to show some life. Look at this thing. Not bad. So I like Bitcoin. I've been touting it for a while when we were somewhere down here. In fact, we were just breaking out of here. I offered a target of 18,000. And the target was hit just a couple of days ago, somewhere right here, or 17,000 actually was my target. I apologize. The target was hit plus more. It went to 18,000. My target was right here at 17,000. So it went even further than my target, and I think this is building a beautiful F flag. Let me just label Bitcoin so we know what we're looking at. So Bitcoin daily. I've personally liked it for a while. I own some Bitcoin. It seems to be doing well. I've got an expectation in about a year we should be somewhere near 27,000 in Bitcoin, maybe even higher. We'll see. We'll take it one day at a time. But what I think it's starting to build now is it's starting to maybe try to take on the form of one of those F flags I was telling you about. And if it does, that should kind of take us even higher. So I think it's taking on the form of this F flag and should work its way higher. It's actually just a channel, not really an F flag. It's just a channel, and we'll see where it's going to go. But I like it for now. I think we stay inside this channel. We work our way to the top channel. That puts us at 20,000.
Let's look at Riot.
So yeah, I'm a Bitcoin fan right now. For now. What was that?
RIOT.O. Riot.O. This one's for Dacry. He said, please.
Riot. Oh, blockchain. Well, there you have it. Bitcoin's going. Why wouldn't blockchain? Sick. What announcement was that? So wow. What is that? From 4 cents to 6.5 cents? You know, what I could say is, what could go wrong? It could only go to zero.
Yeah.
What could go wrong at 6 cents? If you like it, buy some. You know what I mean? It's very affordable.
Yeah.
I don't mess with penny stocks. Sorry about the noise outside, kids. I don't mess with penny stocks myself, but obviously some news came out here. But being that it's a penny stock, I don't have much to offer you. I'm a fan of blockchain. I don't know it's the end-all, be-all, but it's a very, very smart way to move money securely where you know before a transaction even takes place, the other side has to have what they need to complete that transaction so you don't end up with a bounce check, so to speak. So blockchain is really good for that, and it doesn't really keep your identity hidden. It can, but it doesn't really. It's really good for that. Now, here's a quick example. Do you remember I showed you something and I said a small head and shoulders is a continuation pattern, not a topping pattern? If it's just a small one, let's get this out of our view. If it's small, if it takes the whole chart, well, that's another story. But if it's small like this, it's a continuation pattern, right? And I think that that's exactly what was happening here. And it just went continuation on us instead. And let's just get this, let's get the circles correct. I think continuation pattern, just as I professed it would be, and straight up you went. So even on penny stocks, these patterns do work if you know how to use them. And this is blockchain.
Rick has an
interesting chart, and again, being dense, what could go wrong? Go ahead.
Do you think volume dries up before big holidays?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Do you recommend against trading right before a big holiday?
Let's. I'll spell it out.
Okay.
So what we normally find are these strange phenomenons called a holiday reversal. And basically, this would be a holiday reversal if this was into a holiday. See how you're going up right here in this piece? Market's going up, up, up. And suddenly, just out of the clear blue, you get this instead. You get this whole piece that goes down during the week of the holiday, then it goes right back up again. It's a phenomenon I've never tried to quantify. I don't care why it happens. I think I can figure it out. Mass exodus of traders out of the big cities. Markets tend to reverse when they get thin. So I would say, yes, do not trade the day before and the day after a major holiday. It's one of our trading rules that we try to stick to. Sometimes the setup's so smart that we take a trade the day after a holiday. Certainly we don't trade the day before a holiday. And I'm always expecting a reversal. So to see this end up coming down next week and then back up the week after Thanksgiving wouldn't shock me at all. Now let's take holiday reversals to a slightly bigger platform. This is only a U.S. holiday. It's called Thanksgiving. It's not really celebrated around the world. I don't expect anything much to happen for this one. When the whole world's celebrating a holiday, those are the big ones that I expect reversals on. So not the smaller. If it's a U.S. holiday only, reversals, maybe, maybe not. If it's a major world holiday, reversals are expected.
Do you ever use candles is another question we're getting.
Well, let's take a look at that. So you see right now we have a bar. It's clean. See this daily bar? Any bar, choose it, this red one. It's clean. It's one line, got an opening dash to the left, the closing dash to the right. There's nothing to guesswork on. So if we change this to a candle, what the heck just happened? What is all this madness? I have wicks. I've got open bodies, closed bodies, things that don't attach anymore. All my channels are gone. I think they're useless. In fact, I wrote a book. I spent 2 years qualifying every single Japanese candlestick that I could find and what it meant back in 1990 to put it on a computer system, which no one had before, for a company out in California. And when I was finished doing the research, I told them, I'll never use candles again. Thank you for saving me. I said, you cured me. Here's the book. Have at it. I don't want anything to do with candles for the rest of my life. I haven't used it then. Because all I found out was it was chasing my tail. Because you could have a formation, and the next day, the new bar makes the old bar a different formation, which you should have recognized the new bar coming, which is backwards analysis. You know what I mean? I like to know what's going to happen tomorrow, not that changed yesterday and I should have known better. It's chasing your tail. Put these away, turn them into this, life will get so much easier for you. A simple high-low close and everything gets clean. See how much less of a mess that is? Keep it simple. These markets are difficult to trade. This is not an easy task. Try to keep your approach simple.
I take that as
There's my answer to candlesticks. No.
All right, let's look at YNDX if you don't mind.
YN Nancy. YNDX. So if you guys happen to need a gardener, you just let me know. I'll send them over. I kind of thought I was doing this today. It's probably YNDX. Do I need a dot something?
Dot O.
Dot O maybe? Mm-hmm. That's interesting. YNDX. With the exception of these 2 days out of line, chart's it's pretty smooth. Let's just get this out of the way and we'll see if the street's using anything on it. Right now we're looking at the 200. We'll cut it in half. That's probably good enough for me. The 50 will get caught up in the chart. Bouncing off the 100. So let's look at it like this. Something I would almost never do ever, but I just want to see the shape. I'm cutting through a bar. That's like a no, you don't do that. But I just want to see what this looked like. All right, so it was actually, with the exception of that one jetting, it was actually creating a channel here on the way down, which I'm going to remove this because I cut through a bar, but I just wanted to see what happened before that red bar. Before this bar came out of nowhere, I wanted to see what was going on. So it was actually doing that. It was building its way down. It hits the 100. The street comes out of nowhere. They start to buy it. And then you build this little weird formation. So, all right, it's a carbon copy. I've got it. Check this out. I can see it already. This is a baby carbon copy of this, and it led to lower. Look, let me put it in perspective for you. This is a carbon copy. This piece right here of what you're about to see right here. And charts repeat themselves often, so I'm not going to deny that I think this could happen, but I think that is basically this, and what you'll see next is lower. Because that same formation produced lower, but only to the 100 bar moving average last time. But you see what I'm saying? This piece right here and this piece are almost identical, just a little more violent. Had a little more movement going on, but I think they're almost the same. Leading up to here, right? We're here right now. So let me just make that clearer again. We are here right now. I think that's sort of, the same sort of action taking place after you get a weird high. So if that's the case, probably lower if it's going to follow in suit. I do like the fact you bounced off this average. Nothing wrong bouncing off a 100. And then, of course, getting even smaller on this. If you want to get really small, you can certainly call this a bear flag. And we'll blow up the chart a little so you can see I'm not imagining things. That would certainly be some form of a bear flag. You've got that. We'll just move this out of the way for a moment so we can build the flag. And we snap a little parallel underneath, and lo and behold, bear flag. So you have a bear flag after you had one of these type of things that led to a bear flag, which cracked. Now you had another one of those weird moves that led to a bear flag a little bit quicker. You got to your bear flag. For now, I'd have to say that would crack. It would go low or higher without knowing anything about it. So what was that? The index.
Yep. It was, let's see. YNDX is a symbol if you want that.
ANDX. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I'll keep it. We'll see what happens later on with that. So yeah, for now, I'd call that a bear flag and a repeat of what you see in here. For now, we'll see where it goes. Can I help you with something else?
They keep coming. How about PIC for Ernie?
PIC, and that looks like it'll just come up the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it?
Yeah, well, that's interesting.
Looking at this, there's a handful of people who own this stock, and that's it. Crazy stuff with it. And I wouldn't go near it. Just looking at that, there are too few people that own this stock. Bet you if you research it, you will find it. You can just tell by the way that looks. Somebody's making money with it as opposed to. What do you got? That looks like shenanigans to me. There's something ugly going on there.
AAL for our friend up in Canada.
AAL for Canada, and that will come up as American Airlines. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. That's right. And I think it's .O.
No, it's got to be something else. AAL.0. Ooh. So I will tell you this much. When we had our crack after Corona, and then we had that spike in the airlines, somewhere right in here, I instructed my programmer to buy this stuff. And he's kind of done. Mm-hmm. He bought it sort of towards the low. Actually, that's not true. The actual truth. I'm just embarrassed. We decided that he should buy it right in here. I kid you not. And he bought it right there at the lows. I didn't want to be grandiose about it, but out of the clear blue, he calls me and says, I rented some money. What should I do? And I said, well, these things are beaten so badly, unless they go out of business, let's grab some. So we bought a bunch of airlines and a bunch of cruise lines at the same time. And I made him buy Tesla and some other great stuff. But he's loving these right now. He's still holding them. So what I'm seeing here is and it's obvious. Let's just get one of these out of the way. So they're using this is probably still the 100 unless it's changed, 200. They're keying off the 200 ball moving average. I mean, you can see that it's almost an absolute signal when it gets there. The street's beating this up anytime it gets near it. But you can't stop it from doing something like it's doing now, which is charging towards it. And if you knock on this door enough times, it's been knock 1, knock 2, knock 3. You keep knocking on that 200 ball moving average door and it will open. So technically, I don't really see all that much happening yet, except for here's where you're getting blessed. It's working its way towards an eventual, I have to break out. Something has to happen because look, no matter how we draw this, I'll even start here and be as tame as I can. It's working its way towards something has to break out. See how it's narrowing? And I could make that way more narrow. If I had a few moments, I could draw a few more lines. It's narrowing to a point. It's going to have to do something. Countrywide shutdown, it's going to go down, obviously, right? But looking at that chart, I will tell you it will have to break out one way or another coming soon. And the type of analysis I do, I'm on top of a trade every day until I know the actual breakout day, and then I'm on it when it goes. So I'm saying that abstract to you, but if I wanted to watch this every day with my Omni, it would basically tell me when it was time to play ball. But I don't know, I'd say let's see if this can get above that 200. If it does, it will fly. And how do we know that? Let's just write what it is. This is AAL. If you don't think this will fly, if it gets above the 200, how much money do you think the street has invested on selling it at the 200 so far? Look at these cracks. They're not playing games when it gets there. This is big movement. It gets above, they'll start covering all that stuff that they sold. So I would say this is your trigger to sell or buy. Yeah, slow typing. Use that as your trigger, buy or sell. I'm sorry, too many E's in there. Use that as your trigger to buy or sell, and it is the 200, in this case, ball moving average. So that's that's my fast opinion. Of course, I'd have to chop it up if I wanted to tell you exactly where to get in and out. But look at this trigger. I mean, trigger, great short, trigger, short, trigger, great short. So certainly make that your trigger when it comes back out. The street will. Can I help you with something else?
Yeah, I think we should probably do just one more. And then, so let's look at XLE.
You broke up?
XLE?
XLE. Oh, so that's like the Russell.
Yeah, that's it. It's an energy select.
Oh, XLE is energy, isn't it? So once again, if that's the 200 ball moving average, obviously the street is keying off of that. Let's just see how far back that action takes place. All right, so since the average started, they've been keying, and of course it goes back much further. If we add more days, it'll calculate more time. They've been keying off selling it at that average, right? Each time. So once again, to just keep things simple, if you can't get above, downside will come. If you can get above, expect the street to jump all over it. So you're at the trigger, and these aren't my triggers. I'm just looking at what the street's using and saying, well, obviously they love it here. They're either going to hate it here or love it if it gets above. So simple analysis, I would just wait for them to figure out what they want around the 200, and then you go for it as soon as it moves.
Thank you, Oscar.
And what were we looking at? Left, right? What's this? XLF. So that's, this is my simplest form of analysis. Obviously, I can get much more complicated when I'm looking for an exact spot where I would buy, place a stop, profit. That stuff is more intricate. But when you're looking at the charts abstractly, like I am this way, I kid you not, this is very powerful. The things that we're looking at, they really work well. You just don't want to overcomplicate it with too many things. Not too many indicators. You certainly don't want to be looking at a tick chart all day, because imagine a tick chart, how many times it would have fooled you around this average before it made up its mind. And is it real here? These are days, a full day. Think of how many ticks you'd be hanging around this average if each one of these was broken down. So, you're supposed to condense your data to daily if you can, and just watch the daily swings and see if you can spot what the street must be using, because if it's working, they must be using it, in my opinion.
Oscar, I want to thank you for spending basically an hour and a half with us today. Great job.
My pleasure.
I love looking at charts with you. I want to tell you guys, if you want to
I found it to be fun. I hope you guys did.
Yeah. Remember, it's livewithoscar.com. Great place. You can go sign up for the website for free. If you enjoyed the webinar, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It does help, and we do appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a good weekend. We won't be doing a market recap next week because it's going to be Black Friday and Thanksgiving. I do want to wish you guys all a happy holiday. Oscar, thank you for spending such good time with us today. And we hope to see you at the next one.
Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. All the questions and all the thank yous and all the praise for MetaStock. Yes, they are great. That's why I do this for them. So thank you guys at MetaStock for always inviting me and being such, you guys are great with your software. You're great with my people when they call you with your tech support. So I'll do this for you anytime. You always have an open welcome with me.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, Oscar. Thanks for coming today.